Hi, grade nines. So, we're now going to try and solve a word problem that is going to require us to go through a four-step process. So the word problem says, on a recent shopping trip, Josiah spent a total of $10 and purchased two mechanical pencils and an eraser. The eraser costs $1.50. The mechanical pencils cost the same amount. How much does a mechanical pencil cost? In reading this problem, it's totally natural for you to start thinking in your mind about, can I figure out the answer real easily? Do I know what the answer is? You might even grab a calculator and start punching some buttons. But let's resist all those temptations and let's instead go through a four-step process. The reason for this four-step process is it's going to be a great way to show our work, and it's also going to work out really well for harder problems when we won't be able to just think in our mind for the answer. So this four-step process goes like this. Step 1, identify the unknown. The unknown is the thing in the problem that we want to figure out. Often in a word problem, the unknown is a singular thing that is like the only thing we don't know about the problem. And in this problem, if you're thinking that the unknown is the cost of a mechanical pencil, I agree, but we'll come back to that in a couple of moments. Step 2, make an equation. So in making an equation, we want to definitely make an equation that uses the unknown or contains the unknown, because by making this equation and then in part C solving the equation, we will figure out what the value of the unknown is, which is totally why we're doing all this stuff. The final step in the four-step process is to communicate your solution. Communicating your solution not only verifies for you that you have indeed solved the problem and that your answer is reasonable, but it's also a great way to communicate to others that you know what you're doing and that you do indeed have the solution to the problem. Okay, so with that said, we're going to get into solving this problem. So, identify the unknown. So again, if you think that the unknown is the cost of a mechanical pencil, I agree. And often in a word problem, when you're looking for the value of an unknown, there's usually a question that is asked somewhere in the problem. And in this case, here the question, and this is also often true, that it's at the end of the words. And there it is. How much does a mechanical pencil cost? So that's pretty much cluing us into what the unknown is, or what it is that we're trying to figure out. So the cost of a mechanical pencil, and we're going to let X represent the cost of a mechanical pencil. As you know, X is a very popular choice, whether we're talking about algebra or solving equations, but any letter of the alphabet will do here. Some of you might want to use the letter C for cost or P for pencil, but I don't recommend those choices, because if you use C as your variable, then you start thinking that the unknown is just cost. Well, cost is not specific enough. Okay, the unknown is not cost. The unknown is the cost of a mechanical pencil. And so often, I think using a variable letter that is not at all related to your unknown can actually be beneficial, because it always makes you consciously think about, well, what does X represent in this equation? And so, and if you're thinking about that, that's a good thing, because it's always good to keep in mind where you're at and what you're doing during a word problem. So on to make an equation. So at this point, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, and I want you to try and create an equation that is true for this problem that contains X. It contains the unknown. So pause the video now and try that. When you've tried it, unpause the video and we'll see how you did. Okay, you've had a chance to hopefully create or try to create your equation. Here's what I came up with. 2x plus 1.50 equals 10.00. Now, you might be looking at that equation and really liking it, or you might be looking at that equation and not liking it. It may look exactly the same as yours, and it certainly might not. my equation is true. It might not be the most simple equation that I could have created for this problem, but my goal here was to create an equation that is true and that it contains the unknown, and it does that. Here is, though, a simpler version of that equation, which is also true, and this equation is probably going to be a little bit more user-friendly, and so with that, I'm going to use this equation moving forward. So, to solve the equation. So, in solving this equation, I am now going to try and switch over to my pen tools, and hopefully they work okay for me. And I'm going to try and work on this solution here. So, hang on a moment, bear with me. Pen tools. Let's get these pen tools working here for us. My pen tools seem to be locked up. Oh, here we go. They're unlocking now. Okay. Here we go. So, the equation is 2x plus 1.5 equals 10. Now, we need to use the balance method to try and solve this equation. And so, remember, the balance method wants us to get x all by itself. And so, the first thing I'm going to try and get rid of is this 1.5. And I can do that by subtracting 1.5 from both sides of the equation. So subtract 1.5, there we go. And to keep things balanced, I got to do it to the right-hand side. There we go. And as you probably know, that means this cancels out, which is great. And now I have as my equation 2x equals 8.5. And I'm not done yet. I know what 2x equals. 2 times x equals 8.5, but I want to figure out just what is x. And to get rid of the 2, I need to divide both sides by 2. And I have now figured out that, oh, hang on a sec. So the 2's cancel out over here. That's great. And I have x equals 4.25. Now I'm a little bit lost. So x equals 4.25. What does it all mean? Well, look back up to what x represents. Remember, x represents the cost of a mechanical pencil. So I guess what we're saying here is the cost of a mechanical pencil is 4.25. Oh, like $4.25. And that's what we write when we communicate our solution, is it's some words that communicates that, the cost of a mechanical pencil is $4.25. We were asked to try and figure out what is the cost of a mechanical pencil in the problem, and we did it. So as a quick recap, here's what we've got. So what have we done here? We read the problem, and then we followed this 4-step process. So we identified the unknown, we made an equation, we solved the equation, and then we communicate the solution. Okay? And that's how the 4-step process works.